I just wanted to kind of see like if you were in good spirits.
This is like a box of hell.
Lil Durk has never hidden his struggles with jail life. Now, fresh footage has surfaced showing Durk and his homie in rough conditions, and fans are worried. Word is, Durk's enemies are closing in on him behind bars. Let's get into it. The viral footage. Lil Durk is having it rough in jail, and the new footage shows exactly that, which isn't surprising. Durk is stuck behind bars at MDC Los Angeles, a facility with a notorious reputation. From suicides and violence to corrupt guards smuggling and contraband, the place has even been called barbaric by judges. For Durk, that means every day inside comes with real danger, not just from his ops, but from the jail itself. And with the number of enemies Durk has made over the years, it's safe to say life behind those walls is far from comfortable. In one of the most circulated phone calls making rounds on the timeline, we hear Durk chopping it up with DJ Academics, giving rare insight into his mental state while he's facing these life-changing charges.
I've been good, man. Mentally, spiritually. I've been on top of my...
That statement, delivered with that signature Durk composure, shows the mentality that's kept him solid through every storm in his career. But underneath that tough exterior is a man wrestling with the possibility of spending the rest of his days behind bars, separated from his shorties, his Queen India Royale, and the music empire he's been building for over a decade straight. The conversation gets deeper when Durk starts expressing gratitude for all the prayers and love he's receiving, while also keeping it a stack about how harsh federal detention really is.
This is like a box of hell. We don't get no news, no talk, no nothing. If you don't call or somebody send it to you on the computer, it's a wrap.
These words paint a cold picture of that isolation that comes with federal time, where any word from the outside world becomes more precious than gold. But what's really showing growth is Durk's discussion about his spiritual journey while locked down. The rapper, who's been getting more vocal about his Muslim faith, talks about learning Arabic from other inmates and staying committed to prayer and religious study.
I ain't really on too much of nothing, bro. I don't even be thinking about the outside.
I see your father, like, he was speaking about you, and it brought me back to the conversation we had.
This spiritual awakening behind the wall reflects what we've been seeing throughout Durk's recent career moves, where he's been trying to balance that street credibility with messages of peace and uplifting the community. While incarcerated, Durk has reportedly focused on a message of peace and community work through his Neighborhood Heroes Foundation, though some partnerships got severed because of the charges. But Durk ain't facing this federal nightmare by his lonely. The viral footage and communications also put the spotlight on the fact that multiple members of his Only the Family collective are currently locked up right beside him, creating what basically amounts to the complete destruction of one of Chicago's most influential hip-hop organizations. Durk was arrested alongside 5 co-defendants, all affiliates of his Only the Family, OTF collective, who are charged in the same conspiracy. These dudes, who were once part of Durk's inner circle, are now facing the same life-changing charges and the same potential life bids. Kevon London Grant, known on the block as Cuz or Vonnie, is probably the most significant of Durk's co-defendants. Age 28, from Atlanta but originally from Chicago, Grant is described as a high-ranking OTF associate and one of Durk's day ones. The federal paperwork alleges that he played a crucial role in coordinating the logistics of the alleged murder-for-hire plot, including copping ski masks, renting whips, and providing straps, one of which was allegedly converted to full auto. Most damaging to his case is the allegation that Grant allegedly used Lil Durk's plastic to book a hotel room for the crew and flew to LA on a private jet with Durk the day before the shooting. He's currently sitting in federal custody in Illinois, waiting to get shipped to LA. DeAndre Dontrell Wilson, also known as Didi, represents another key player in the alleged conspiracy. Age 33, from Chicago, Wilson is described as an OTF member who handled the bread and travel arrangements. Federal prosecutors allege that he helped book one-way flights from Chicago to San Diego for the hit squad using OTF-linked funds and coordinated their drive to Los Angeles. The fact that these were one-way flights suggests the alleged participants either didn't expect to make it back or planned to disappear after the shooting. Wilson is locked up in federal custody in Illinois. His other homies, including Boogie, Brown Ayez, and Flacca, are currently doing time behind bars for the same operation. What makes the situation even more tragic is that these dudes were all arrested in Chicago on October 24th, 2024, shortly before Lil Durk's arrest in Florida while attempting to flee the country. The timing suggests that federal authorities coordinated a massive takedown operation, snatching up the alleged conspirators before grabbing the man they claim was calling the shots. But the incarceration of OTF members extends beyond just this federal case. Several other OTF affiliates have been arrested in August 2025 on unrelated charges amid speculation of heightened scrutiny on the crew following Lil Durk's case. OTF Buna got picked up on August 2nd, 2025 in Chicago, charged with burglary, murder, and disposing of a body in a church, specifically the killing of Oscar Oz Cruz, Cruz, whose body was allegedly dumped after being shot 17 times. This case appears separate from the federal plot, but adds to the wave of legal troubles for OTF. OTF Booney Mo also got jammed up in August 2025 for possession of cocaine with intent to distribute. A signed OTF artist and collaborator with Lil Durk, he's been in custody since the arrest and faces potential prison time if convicted. Meanwhile, OTF DJ Bands, who served as Lil Durk's official DJ and producer, got knocked in August 2025 for marijuana possession and a probation violation. Reports indicate this is tied to drugs found during a routine check, violating his probation from prior offenses. However, in May 2025, prosecutors presented evidence that Durk had violated jail rules by using at least 13 other inmates' phone accounts to make calls, including unauthorized three-way conversations. This behavior was described by the judge as showing a disrespect for the rules, undermining arguments for his release, even with a proposed $4.50 million bail package that included strict conditions like house arrest and private security. The prosecution's argument was cold but devastating. If Durk couldn't follow basic jail protocols, how could he be trusted to comply with pre-trial release terms? This violation of phone privileges would prove to be just one of many leaked communications that would eventually surface online, creating a goldmine of content for social media users and hip-hop commentators. The Fed's master plan, wires, snitches, and life sentences. The foundation of the federal case against Durk rests on allegations that are as wild as they are comprehensive. Prosecutors allege that Durk orchestrated the scheme, offering money and music industry opportunities to OTF members to carry out the hit on Quando Rondo. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment street beef gone wrong, but rather what authorities describe as a calculated multi-state conspiracy that involved serious planning, major bread, and the coordination of multiple players across different cities. The investigation has revealed disturbing details about how the alleged plot went down. 5 OTF associates traveled from Chicago to Los Angeles, using Durk's credit card for flights and accommodations, and attempted the assassination using firearms, including one equipped with a machine gun conversion device. The level of organization and resources involved suggests this was far from some random street violence. The investigation has reportedly generated over 200,000 pages of evidence, including financial records, travel documents, surveillance footage, and most damaging of all, recordings made by a confidential informant who had been wearing a wire for several years. But even more chilling than the government's evidence are the communications that have emerged from Durk's ops while he's been locked up. In one disturbing viral video, an individual claiming to be Durk's enemy makes a shocking threat that demonstrates the level of violence and hatred surrounding this case.
Because if I get home for him, I'm gonna kill his kids.
Stop playing with me. You just say if you get home before him, you gonna kill his kids. Come on, gang.
Hey, it is what it is.
Come on, gang. You've been in jail 100,000 years.
I need him to get home.
Come on, gang.
This threat against Durk's shorties illustrates just how deadly serious the street conflicts are that federal prosecutors allege motivated the murder-for-hire plot. The identity of the federal government's key informant has become one of the most discussed aspects of the case in hip-hop circles. The case heavily relies on evidence from a confidential informant within OTF, who reportedly wore a wire for several years to gather incriminating recordings and details linking Lil Durk to the plot. While rumors and reports widely identify this informant as OTF Jam, a longtime OTF member who was released from prison in 2022 after serving a 12-year sentence for attempted murder, the informant's identity remains officially undisclosed in public court documents. The story of this alleged informant adds a layer of betrayal that has the hip-hop community shook. In a resurfaced 2023 interview, Jam credited Lil Durk for supporting him financially and emotionally during his incarceration, including sending money and referencing him in lyrics. The contrast between this public gratitude and the alleged cooperation with federal authorities has created a narrative that reads like a modern-day betrayal saga straight out of the trenches. Hip-hop analysts have been breaking down the implications of this informant situation with unprecedented detail. In one particularly insightful analysis, content creator Hood Educated explains the significance of the federal strategy.
This co-conspirator who was unnamed. Check it out, right? This how cold-blooded this unnamed co-conspirator is. Let me show you the power of this unnamed co-conspirator. He offered money. Not only that,
the analysis continues to reveal the methodical nature of the federal investigation and how they've built their case around this cooperative witness. Footage leaked in October 2024 showing Jam eating McDonald's during an interrogation, glancing at the camera, sparked online memes and jokes about him snitching for a Big Mac. While this may seem like internet humor, it reflects the serious breach of trust that such cooperation represents in hip-hop culture, where keeping your mouth shut when the law comes around is considered a fundamental principle of the streets. The federal investigation has also revealed disturbing patterns of alleged criminal behavior that extend far beyond the Quando Rondo case. Media personality DJ Academics, who has extensively covered Durk's legal troubles, explains the broader context of law enforcement's interest in the rapper.
When Durk gets caught in a shooting with Vaughn in Atlanta, detectives from Chicago traveled to Atlanta just to testify in a pretrial hearing just to keep him in jail.
This reveals the multi-jurisdictional effort that has been targeting Durk for years, suggesting that the current federal case represents the culmination of a much longer investigation. Academics continues to explain the persistence of law enforcement's pursuit.
The reason why they did it, they even admitted, the detectives, they said, we've been trying to get this mother. We couldn't get him. Remember, he caught 3 gun cases.
This admission by law enforcement officers demonstrates that Durk had successfully beaten serious criminal charges multiple times before, making his current federal indictment all the more significant from a prosecutorial perspective. Meanwhile, Durk's own mindset about the severity of his situation has been captured in another leaked jail communication, where he demonstrates a concerning level of bravado despite facing life imprisonment.
I don't fear nothing. Chill, death. It is what it is, like, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I got a brain. I know how to move, and I know what not to say.
This statement, while showing mental toughness, also reveals that even while locked up and facing the most serious charges of his life, Durk maintains the street mentality that prosecutors argue motivated the alleged crimes. The legal strategy employed by Durk's defense team, led by attorney Drew Findling, has been aggressive but faces significant challenges. They filed motions to dismiss in April 2025, arguing the indictment relied on bad evidence, including misrepresented lyrics, and lacked real evidence linking Durk directly to the plot. They claim prosecutors misled the grand jury and that the evidence was circumstantial. One significant victory for the defense came when prosecutors filed another superseding indictment in May 2025, removing all references to Durk's lyrics as evidence. This decision likely reflected recognition that using rap lyrics as evidence of criminal intent is legally problematic and has been criticized by legal experts and civil liberties advocates. However, despite this victory and the removal of lyrics from the case, a judge denied Durk's renewed bail request on May 8, 2025, citing jail calls and other factors as evidence of flight risk and danger to the community. The denial was particularly significant because it came after the prosecution had already weakened their case by removing the lyrical evidence. The case has also revealed the broader scope of federal interest in OTF and its activities. In December 2024, Durk was linked, but not charged, to another murder for hire in Chicago involving Stephon Mack, and prosecutors have alleged he has placed bounties on various individuals, including a witness's family member. This pattern of alleged criminal activity has strengthened prosecutors' arguments about Durk's danger to the community. The timing of Durk's arrest adds another layer of intrigue to the case. At the time of his arrest, Lil Durk was attempting to flee the country. U.S. Customs and Border Protection flagged him as booked on international flights to Dubai, Switzerland, and Italy, but he was apprehended near Miami International Airport an hour before the Italy flight's departure. This attempted flight has been used by prosecutors as evidence of consciousness of guilt and flight risk. As the viral jail footage continues to circulate, they serve as a stark reminder of the human cost of this legal battle. The man speaking on these calls is not just a rapper or a celebrity, but a father of multiple children, a partner to his fiancée, and the head of an organization that employed dozens of people. The outcome of this case will determine not just his fate, but the futures of everyone connected to him and his music empire. The breadth of evidence that prosecutors claim to possess, combined with the alleged cooperation of longtime associates, creates a legal situation that appears increasingly difficult for Durk's defense team to overcome. With each new piece of information that emerges through court filings and media reports, the scope of the alleged conspiracy becomes more apparent, painting a picture of an organization that federal prosecutors argue operated as both a music label and a criminal enterprise straight out of the trenches. This raises questions about the kind of bond Durk shared with King Von that got him risking everything to slide for him. Blood Brothers, the bond that started a war. The viral jail footage of Lil Durk have exposed more than just a federal case. They've revealed the depth of a brotherhood that was so strong it allegedly motivated one of hip-hop's most devastating revenge plots. To understand why Durk is sitting in a federal detention center facing life without parole, you have to understand the bond he shared with King Von, a relationship that transcended typical industry partnerships and became something closer to blood family in the unforgiving streets of Chicago. The relationship between Lil Durk and King Von wasn't just another rapper-to-rapper connection. It was a mentorship, brotherhood, and business partnership rolled into one that would ultimately reshape Chicago's drill scene and lead to the federal charges that now threaten to end Durk's career forever. King Von, whose real name was Davon Daquan Bennett, was a Chicago rapper and member of Lil Durk's Only the Family, OTF, collective, who was killed on November 6, 2020, during a confrontation outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta. When Durk first met Von, he wasn't looking at just another street dude trying to rap. He was looking at raw, unfiltered authenticity that couldn't be manufactured or taught. Von brought something to the table that even seasoned veterans of the drill scene recognized as special. His ability to paint vivid pictures of street life through his storytelling was unmatched, turning real-life experiences into cinematic narratives that captivated listeners and critics alike. In a revealing conversation from his most extensive interview, Durk explained the moment he recognized Von's exceptional talent and decided to put him on. The discovery wasn't some chance encounter. It was a deliberate recognition of greatness that would change both their lives forever.
One of the closest motherfuckers to me told me, start rapping. You just find you some artists. So that made me kind of go hard, you know what I'm saying? But when I see Von, I always been Von. Like if Von was gonna be a rapper, a basketball player, a football player, Von was always gonna be Von. Like a good-hearted motherfucker. So he like, man, when I go on Breakfast Club.
But Von's impact went far beyond just his musical abilities. Durk recognized something in Von that reminded him of himself, that hunger, that authenticity, that willingness to be vulnerable about the harsh realities of street life while maintaining the respect and credibility that came with having lived it. This wasn't some industry plant or manufactured artist. This was the real deal, straight from the trenches with stories that couldn't be fabricated. The professional relationship quickly evolved into something much deeper.
He told me like 5 songs. He like, man, this shit, he said all shit weak. And I told him, I'm like, man, this is my favorite song right here.
What song?
And it's crazy. Crazy Story.
Really?
That motherfucker dropped Crazy Story, started going crazy. We was on tour. We was on tour too. Put him on tour, I started bringing him out. Then shit, Von just became like, if Von was alive right now, he'd be like the biggest right now.
This revelation shows how quickly Von's talent was recognized and how rapidly his career trajectory changed once Durk put the full weight of OTF behind him. What made their relationship unique in the hip-hop landscape was the genuine care and respect they had for each other beyond the business. Durk didn't just see Von as another artist to exploit for profit. He saw him as family, as someone whose success was directly tied to his own, and as someone whose well-being was his responsibility. This paternal, protective instinct would ultimately become central to understanding why the alleged revenge plot took place. The creative dynamic between them was something special to witness. Von would come into the studio with raw energy and unfinished concepts, and Durk would help shape them into polished products without losing the authentic edge that made Von's music so compelling.
It's so crazy because Von used to come in the studio and be like, hey, finish this for me. I'll help him out, finish it for him. Then that motherfucker just caught. Like, he just started rapping. Listening to his shit, you be like, damn, alright. Come on, bitch, let's die here. Like that's how he is. He ain't like, what you think? What you think they gonna think? That my, come on, let's die. I'm talking down my head. Go on here, bitch, die your whole head. Ooh, come on, twin, come on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's that. I'm like, fuck.
This collaborative process revealed something crucial about their relationship. It wasn't hierarchical in the traditional sense. While Durk was clearly the established artist and Von was the newcomer, there was a mutual respect and creative freedom that allowed Von to flourish. Durk gave Von the platform, but Von's talent and authenticity were entirely his own. The bond extended far beyond the studio and stage. Durk took Von under his wing in every aspect of the industry, teaching him how to navigate the business side of rap while maintaining street credibility. This mentorship wasn't just about music. It was about survival in an industry that could be just as dangerous as the streets they came from, especially for artists whose music was so closely tied to real-life conflicts and violence. Von's rapid rise to prominence was directly tied to Durk's support and guidance. Within a short period, Von went from being relatively unknown to becoming one of the most talked about artists in drill music. His storytelling ability, combined with Durk's industry connections and business acumen, created a perfect storm that propelled Von to levels of success that might have taken years to achieve independently. But with that success came increased attention attention from law enforcement, rival crews, and the kind of scrutiny that comes with being associated with Chicago's drill scene. The very authenticity that made Von's music so compelling also made him a target for those who saw him as a threat or who had unresolved conflicts from the streets. The night Von was killed in Atlanta represented more than just the loss of a rising star. It was the severing of a bond that had become central to both men's identities.
You know, one of my favorite rappers ever was King Von.
Yeah.
You had a great relationship with him, obviously.
Yeah.
Where were you when you got the call?
We was in Houston. We were shooting a video, I think. Yeah.
He was one of the most talented guys on the planet.
Somebody told me if you can copy an artist to be somebody for Halloween, you made it. He had a whole image. You know what I'm saying? And he lived what he lives. What he rapped about, he lived, but he was good-hearted at the same time, so it's like...
Durk's response to that phone call in Houston set in motion a chain of events that federal prosecutors now allege led directly to the murder-for-hire plot that has him facing life in prison. The death of Von wasn't just a personal loss. It was an attack on everything Durk had built, everything he represented, and everyone he loved. In the streets and in hip-hop culture, there's an unwritten code about loyalty and retaliation. When someone you consider family is killed, especially in circumstances that could be seen as preventable or unjust, the expectation is that there will be consequences. This code isn't just about violence, it's about respect, honor, and maintaining credibility in environments where showing weakness can be fatal. The federal government's case against Durk essentially argues that his love and loyalty to Von crossed the line from personal grief into criminal conspiracy. They allege that instead of channeling his pain into music or legal means, Durk used his resources, connections, and influence to orchestrate a revenge plot that would ultimately claim an innocent life and destroy multiple families. What makes this tragedy even more profound is that Von's death might have been preventable. The incident began as a physical altercation between Von and rapper Quando Rondo, Tiquian Terrell Bowman, escalating into a shootout involving their respective crews. Von was shot multiple times and died from his injuries, with an associate of Rondo, Timothy Lil Tim Leaks, initially charged with Von's murder before the charges were dismissed in October 2023 under Georgia's Stand Your Ground law. The dismissal of charges against Von's alleged killer only intensified the sense of injustice and the desire for street justice that federal prosecutors argue motivated the subsequent revenge plot. From Durk's perspective, the legal system had failed to provide justice for his fallen brother, leaving him to seek it through other means. The relationship between Durk and Von represents both the best and worst aspects of hip-hop culture. On one hand, it shows the power of mentorship, loyalty, and genuine care between artists. On the other hand, it demonstrates how the same loyalty and street codes that create strong bonds can also lead to cycles of violence and revenge that destroy lives and communities. As Durk sits in federal detention, facing the possibility of never being free again, the viral jail communications serve as a reminder of what that loyalty has cost him. The bond that made him want to elevate Von's career is the same bond that allegedly drove him to seek revenge for Von's death, ultimately leading to charges that could end his own life as a free man. The tragedy extends beyond just Durk and Von to encompass their family, their communities, and the countless fans who saw their relationship as an example of what was possible when talent met opportunity in the world of hip-hop. Now, instead of celebrating Von's posthumous releases and Durk's continued success, the culture is witnessing the potential destruction of everything they built together. Love this video? Click on the cards on your screen for more.